This is for Naviswork models. So we're going to start in with Naviswork. Here we've opened up Naviswork. We have our model. We've loaded in our model, which of course is a collection of multiple models. And we've already set up 3 different tests. So we won't go into how you do tests in Naviswork. That's outside of the scope of this presentation, but just to see that we have 3 different tests. And actually for test 2, we've grouped all the clashes and renamed them based on the assignee. While as test 3, we haven't grouped the clashes, but we have, of course, different statuses. We have approval statuses. We have assigned them to different users and so on. If we want to share this information with our colleagues who may not have Naviswork, we're going to go through Power BI. To do that, first, let's have a look at the Naviswork options, however. So for this to work, it is important that you set up this option. So we need to go to Interface, Quick Properties, and Definitions. You may or may not have any definitions. It isn't important. The important thing is that you must have a definition for category item and property GUID, because this is how we will then do the connection between the clashes and the objects inside of our model once we're in Power BI through VCAD. So once you have this set up, you can go ahead and close everything. Let's go back to the Clash Detective, and we want to export our report. So we're going to write our report. We're going to do a combined report of all 3 of our tests, both the grouped and non-grouped ones. And we're going to go ahead and click Write Report. Save the file somewhere that we can easily access later. We're just going to give it a useful name. And once we're done saving, we can go ahead and close out Naviswork and get ready to share our information with other people. Once you open our template, you will be presented with this text box where you must give it the full path to that report that we've written in Naviswork. So we're just going to pull that XML file up, and we're going to copy both the full name and, of course, the full path of the file. Paste those right into our text box. Okay, and now once we get started, the visual will do as usual. The report, as usual, will load in VCAD's regular data sets, and will also transform and read that report that we've exported from Naviswork, generating a set of new data sets that we have access to in our report. We won't go into too much detail of those, but I'm going to show you how the report works. So everything starts out with this Clash template summary. Here we can review information of our 3 different tests. And we have some indicators, so number of clashes or clashes for a different status. What's very important here also, we have this tags with errors. We want it to be blank. Blank means we have no errors. It's great. Otherwise, we may have to have a look at the data transformations and make sure that anything didn't go wrong during the initial import of data. We also have some other visuals sort of comparing the various tests. So we can see test 1 had a bunch of clashes in new status, and further revisions of the tests, things were better. Let's head on over to the Clash Detective report page. This is a recreation of the Clash Detective functionality inside of Naviswork. So again, we have our 3 tests here available. We can select a single test, and we can see which objects of our model were involved in the clash. We also apply a marker for each and every clash that was detected. Also, the clashes here, we have a list of our clashes. They're grouped as they were grouped in Naviswork. So if you remember, test 3 was grouped. And if we focus in on a specific group, we can see one of Jack's clashes. These are the 2 objects involved. That is where the clash happened. And we can see a little more information about the objects that were involved and the files that were involved. Also, we set up a tooltip with these markers to give us information about the clash and every comment that was ever made based on that clash as well. If we head on over to the test overview page, this page is sort of focused on getting an idea of the whole test. So we can select a single test, and we can see that In this case, most of the clashes are either been approved or resolved, which is great. If we want to go deeper, we can focus in on the work of one assignee. So we're going to look at Emma's work now, and we can see the 3 tests that were assigned to her. Again, we can click a single test and review the objects that were involved in this specific clash, as well as have information both of the name, the object type, or the comments for that clash. Finally, as a theme, we can either color the objects differently, or we can color them based on the status of the clash. However, keep in mind that objects can be involved in multiple clashes, and the various clashes can have different statuses. So in this case, everything is yellow, it's fine. In this other case, the objects are involved in 2 different clashes. So one is yellow, one is green. So that's just something to keep in mind if you're applying a status theme. Finally, Smart Tag Overview is meant to help you easily see if there's any problems with the Smart Tag extraction, which are basically those script properties we set up in Naviswork. If we focus in on a specific test, we can see that has tag errors. We don't have a true option to select from, which is great. It means everything went fine. And for each clash, we have those quick properties that we set up previously. So we have the item GeoID and we have the item name that we were looking at before. Again, item GeoID is the one that is fundamental.